You know, health insurance can feel impossibly complicated, right? Like you need a law degree just to figure out what's in your own policy. But here's the thing. If you're in New York, your plan comes with some really powerful built-in protections. So we're going to break those rights down and turn that dense document into a practical guide you can actually use.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we'll look at the core protections that are baked into every single policy. Then we'll tackle the big questions, like, can your insurer just decide to drop you? What care do you get for free? How long are your kids covered? And of course, what happens if you leave your job? Let's jump in. Okay, first things first. Before we can get into the specifics, we have to understand the basic ground rules, the foundation that every single health insurance policy in New York State is built on. Now, this is probably the most important rule of all. It doesn't matter what's written in the fine print of your insurance contract. If any part of it, any provision, goes against New York State law, the law automatically wins, every single time. It's like your policy gets a built-in upgrade courtesy of the state. Now, these protections are broad, but they're not a total free-for-all. The law does spell out a few very specific situations where an insurer doesn't have to pay. Think things like getting injured while committing a felony. But just look at how short this list is. That's the key. By default, pretty much anything not on this list is a valid claim. Let's get to the question that I know keeps a lot of people up at night. Can your insurance company just cancel your policy? Especially if you get sick and start having a lot of claims? Well, let's see what the law has to say about that. This right here, this is one of the most powerful protections you have as a New Yorker. It is crystal clear. Your insurer cannot, under any circumstances, refuse to renew your health plan because you got sick, because you developed a chronic condition, or because you cost them a lot of money in claims. Your health status is completely off limits. Okay, so that's huge, right? They can't drop you for getting sick. But that leads to the next logical question. Are there any reasons they can refuse to renew your policy? And the answer is yes, but the list of reasons is incredibly short. And importantly, it has absolutely nothing to do with your health. And that's it. That's the whole list. You can see it's all about logistics, or, basic honesty. Not paying your bills, committing fraud, moving away. The last two are about the insurance company's business decisions, not your personal health. Outside of these specific reasons, your renewal is guaranteed. So let's zoom in on that one reason. What if the insurer stops selling your type of plan? Well, even then, they can't just leave you high and dry. They have to follow a strict process. They have to give both you and the state 90 days notice. And here's the crucial part. They must offer you the chance to switch to any other individual plan they sell. It's a built-in safety net. So, now you know that you can keep your policy. Let's talk about one of its best perks. All the services that are designed to keep you healthy in the first place, which your insurer has to cover, often for free. This is honestly one of the most valuable parts of your plan. For a whole list of preventative services, you should pay zero. No copay, no deductible, no coinsurance, nothing. The idea behind it is powerful. You should never have to hesitate or worry, can I afford this checkup, when it comes to preventing illness. And we're not just talking about one or two things here. The scope is huge. It covers all the essentials for every stage of your life. We're talking well child visits and shots for your kids, critical screenings for adults, like for blood pressure and certain cancers, and all the recommended immunizations. All of it mandated to be covered at no out-of-pocket cost. All right, let's tackle a big one, something that causes a ton of confusion. How long can your children actually stay on your health insurance plan? The answer can get a little tricky, so let's break down the rules here in New York. This chart really lays it all out. As you can see, the main number for most medical plans is age 26. That's a federal standard. But check this out. New York gives you an option to push that all the way to age 29 under certain conditions. And look at that last line. This is so important. For a disabled child who can't support themselves, there is no age limit, period. If you remember one number from this whole section, make it this one, 26. Thanks to federal law, your kids can stay on your plan until they turn 26. It doesn't matter if they're in college, if they're married, or if they're living on their own. 26 is that baseline protection. And hey, for all you new parents out there, this is absolutely critical. Your newborn baby is automatically covered from the very moment they're born. That includes care for any birth abnormalities or congenital defects. You then get a 30-day grace period to get them officially added to your policy and pay the new premium. So far, we've mostly been talking about individual plans, but what if you get your insurance through your job? Well, there's a whole other layer of federal laws that come into play. So let's try to make sense of this alphabet soup.
First up is ERISA. You can think of this as the main rulebook for most employer-sponsored health plans. Basically, it's the law that makes sure your employer gives you clear information, manages the plan's money responsibly, and has a fair process in place if you need to file a claim or appeal a denial. It's your guarantee of a fair shake.
Next is FMLA. Now, this law is famous for letting you take unpaid leave for serious medical issues without losing your job. But here's the part that really matters for our discussion. While you're on that leave, your employer has to keep your health benefits going under the exact same terms as if you were still at work. It's a vital protection for when you might need your insurance the most.
And that brings us to our final section, and it's a big one. What happens to your health insurance when you leave a job? Doesn't matter if you quit, get laid off, or are let go. You have a very important right in this situation.
And that right is called COBRA. The best way to think about COBRA is as a bridge. It lets you keep your exact same work-sponsored health plan after you leave. Now, what's the catch? The cost. You're now on the hook for the entire premium, including the part your employer used to pay. So it can be pricey for sure, but it guarantees you won't have a gap in coverage.
And when it comes to COBRA, the timeline is super important. After you leave your job, you have a 60-day window to decide if you want to sign up. If you do, that coverage can last for up to 36 months, which is a pretty significant safety net while you figure out what's next.
So let's just step back. You have the right to keep your insurance no matter how sick you get. You have a right to free preventative care to help you stay well. You have options to cover your kids longer, and a safety net like COBRA if you lose your job. These aren't just suggestions, they're your legally protected rights. Your policy is more than just a contract, it's a tool. The real question is, now that you know the rules, how are you going to use them?